What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Bloom podcast. Today's guest is a worldwide model who has worked with countless notable brands and is actually in town for just 2 short shoots before she heads out to Mexico for a big modeling gig. So introducing our guest, Piper Brandt.
Hello. Piper. Hi.
Piper, happy to have you. Caitlin, thank you for setting this up.
Yes. Piper's also my cousin.
Yeah.
Just a little.
I've heard so much about you though, and like Caitlin has, I don't know, she's talked about doing shoots with you. Is it Elsa? You guys and Elsa did like a little shoot?
Yes.
Yeah.
We
did like recently.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was good.
That was so fun.
Yeah. So Piper, I think, we always like to we're kind of trying a new thing. And for the listeners, like if you've been listening to the podcast or watching it or even have watched an episode, we're kind of trying some new formulas. We think we want to do a better job of like propping the guest up, giving some background on the guest, and then kind of diving into them. So Piper, if you jumped into an Uber and the guy said,
Okay.
What do you do? How would you describe yourself? How would you describe what you do?
The easy answer is I model, but I feel like if I'm in a longer Uber ride and really want to get into it, then I do modeling, but I also have a lot of side jobs. Do a lot of hands-on work with like redoing tables and houses. But yeah, I've done like video work in modeling. I've done weird jobs in modeling, which we can talk about.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but yeah, I guess, yeah.
When you say modeling,
Yes.
What is it? Is it runway modeling? Is it hand modeling? Is it what? Describe like your kind of categories.
Foot modeling has been a recent one for me. And then a lot more just like print or like stuff on websites that you would see there. Yeah.
Cool. I actually had a little side story.
Yeah.
I have this guy I know, and some like super rich guy wanted him to do some like foot modeling. So he like showed up to this foot modeling shoot, and right when he got there, there was just like the biggest cake you've ever seen. Like a cake like the size of like a like the cake like the size of like what is it? Like a kitchen table. Like that big, like right on the floor, right? So then my friend, and I'm not going to name any names, but my friend walks in there and he's like, holy crap, what's up with this cake? What's up with this dude? We're in like this weird like warehousey thing. And the guy's got a camera set up and he's like, all I want you to do is just going to be knees down. I'm going to pay you knees down. I'm going to pay you like, I want to say it was like between $5,000 and $10,000. It was a lot. It was like, I remember at the time being like, holy crap, that's like twice of what I make in a month.
Yeah.
And I remember like, holy crap, thinking it was a lot. And he had to just step on the cake for 1 hour straight.
No.
So
For an
60
hour?
minutes. Yeah. So his
Just
feet,
walking?
just bare feet, just walk across this cake and like step on it and basically do like high knees, like stepping for like an hour straight.
What?
Spray your feet off, walked out.
Was it for video or photo?
Yeah, do you know?
Yeah, it was for video. I don't know. He said I don't know if he necessarily knew the use case. I believe it was in Europe too. I think he was like in Europe for some reason. He was living there at the time. I have no real idea, but all I know is he was like, he left there saying like, it was kind of a win-win.
Okay, well
So-
that's
I
good.
mean,
He wasn't too discouraged about it, but
what would you think if you had to do that?
No, if I walked in,
Piper's like, I actually have
start
something way crazier.
dying. I would laugh so hard.
Yeah,
If I walk in just to a giant cake, I'd be like, what?
Here we go.
What's going on?
Oh my
That'd be
God, that's so
But so tell me a little bit, a little side story, but tell me about like what different modeling jobs entail. Like what is what is your favorite kind of modeling?
Ooh. I would say, honestly, my favorite type of modeling is like the ones where I don't make any money, which is kind of like backwards. But it's probably because I have like so much more creative freedom in it, and like so does the whole team. So I think those are my like favorites, where it's just like collaborating with other photographers and like stylists or makeup artists, and we just kind of get to create whatever.
Yeah.
That's very, very true with I think our industry as well.
Yeah, I think so too. It's like the stuff that
Doesn't
makes
pay,
money
yeah.
is just like the kind of like
Yeah.
stuff. But then like when you just get to do whatever you want with like other creative people,
It's so much
it's
more fun.
so much, it like makes all the other stuff worth
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. That's true. And then like, and the stuff you like are most excited about and want to post,
Yes,
Is like-
exactly.
is that kind of
Yes.
stuff.
Yes.
gosh, who was it? I follow this model. I think her name's Kaya. And she modeled like for Kohl's, and it was like a big thing. Like she modeled for Kohl's, but then she was saying like the photos are just kind of like boring.
Right.
You know, it's just like me. Like they're like, okay, awesome. I modeled for Kohl's and I got a big paycheck, but like it's not that cool.
That's how it. That's how it goes usually.
The editorial stuff I think is like cool.
Really
that's what's
fun.
all over your page at least.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's because what
like
I
to
enjoy
post
doing.
that.
But like those are like, I probably got paid for like 2 of those shoots or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but like. I
But
don't
also
care.
I feel like
it's so much fun
when you do the shoots that don't pay and you're like posting this content, it just like shows people that like you can do things like this also. So if like a gig ever comes up that is more editorial focused,
then it's like
you have a portfolio to show.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's, I don't know, part of me is just like thinks that you have to like market to what you want to do. So staying in front of a camera, you're like, oh, it's a Saturday and I need to just post something and just like stay relevant. Like, what can I do? Oh, I want to do like something I like doing. So I'm going to go out and do
something.
And I love it because you can do it so quick. When we did the shoot with Elsa, it was like we had to leave for dinner at like a certain time, and we're like, okay, we have like an hour window.
I feel like it was like 45 minutes.
It was like 45 minutes. And we did 2 outfits
and, like,
outside, 2 locations.
Yeah.
So it's just fun to kind of like run and gun it.
Yes, I kind of love shoots like that too, where it's like, okay, certain amount of time, like let's just get out what we can and see what happens. Yeah. I think that's so much fun.
Yeah. And for the listener, like we're kind of giving a little background on you, and I think we're already kind of jumping into some like really cool topics that I want to keep going on, but we have a rapid fire segment. So this is just rapid fire. We're going to ask you like 8 to 10 questions here. You're going to answer them up. And then that way, like, I don't know if anyone that's listening to this wants to be a model or is trying to figure out how to grow in the modeling space, like they can learn from you and your path. Yeah. So these are going to go quick. We're not going to elaborate on any of them.
Okay.
Starting with the first one, what age did you start modeling and what age are you now?
Well, now I'm 24, but I started modeling. I probably was first introduced to the industry when I was maybe like 14, but then started modeling professionally when I was maybe 21 or 22. Yeah.
Super, super cool. Dang. Yeah, that's pretty early.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I say that's early, but then I've also like casted people that are like 8.
Yeah.
I know, right? Yeah. Yes.
What is the most notable client that you've worked with?
Probably American Eagle Mexico or Marion Park, the shoe brand.
Yeah.
Super cool. Dang, those are great brands. What is the craziest physical place that your work has taken you?
Okay. Well, Mexico is crazy, and then I also ended up at the World Dairy Expo modeling for like a week.
What was it for? Like
it was okay. So I was like, I don't really know how I ended up being like cast for that, but basically there's like a booth and the guy's like coworker wasn't able to make it, so he hired models to be like his assistant at the World Dairy Expo. And so I helped sell water beds for cows
That
for like 4 days.
What? I don't even want to. What is just real quick? What's a water bed for cows? Like, what does that look like?
I learned so much.
Yeah.
So cows get really like hot when they lay down. So if you have a water bed for them, it like will regulate kind of the water and keep their body temperature lower, which helps with milk production.
Oh my
Wow.
God.
That's kind of interesting.
And like heat stress is like a really big thing for cows, I guess, or in the dairy industry.
Yeah.
Wow. So that's a fit. Where was that
This
then?
was in Madison, Wisconsin.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
So random.
So random. I like opened the email and I was like, what? It's like, absolutely, I'm doing this.
Yeah.
I need to see what this is about.
That's like, that's the best when you like get introduced to it. We just did like a biker thing and it was like, that was actually pretty much what we expected, but it was just cool to like see that.
To see it.
What is your favorite type of modeling to do? I think I maybe already asked you this.
Yes, like the more editorial stuff for sure.
Cool. Did you go to modeling school? I know there's people out there that probably think like, I need to get like a degree.
I did like, there's this camp called Coco Rocha Model Camp, I think is what it's called. So I did that camp, but like definitely isn't something you need to do. Like, you don't need to go to school for it.
How long is a camp like that? And does it cost money?
Like, yeah, it's expensive. But it's like, what was it? It was like 3 days. Yeah.
Dang.
In New York.
And you sleep over there and.
Yeah, you sleep over there. It's definitely, the camp has changed since I was there.
Okay.
But yeah, similar idea.
Cool. Being from Minnesota, when I think of camp, I just think like,
Yeah,
I cannot imagine like a camp in New York. I'm like, how does that even work?
I mean, that's kind of how it was when I was there. Is they kind of like have it set up as like a camp.
Wait, funny.
Which was really fun because then you're like with a bunch of other like models and like getting to know them.
Since it was only 4 days, just like super quick, what was like the process of that?
Yeah, let me think. I think when we got there, trying to think. I feel like the first day was kind of just more like getting to meet everybody and everything. And then the second day we had like posing class with Coco and then runway. And then, or we were split into like 2 groups because then her husband is her manager. Okay. And like kind of agent. So then we had like, he talked to us about the business side of modeling. Okay. And all that. And then the last day we did like a shoot.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. It was cool. It was really, really a good experience, but definitely like not like.
What would you say about like recommending either like a camp or modeling school to someone?
I would say you definitely don't need it to be a model. For me, I think it was really great just because I had never really had the space in like a professional setting just to like test it and see if I like it without the pressure of like an actual job. So, like, it's definitely not something you need, but if you're, like, curious about it, like, I say why not? Yeah. If you're able to afford it, you know, like, yeah, it's a cool experience. You meet a lot of people. Yeah. Yeah, I'm, like, still friends with the girls from it, so. Cool.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, that's interesting, because I think even before the podcast, I asked Caitlin, she's like, I don't really know if she went to, like, modeling school or anything, and that camp sounds kind of interesting. Do you know a lot of people, or do you come across a lot of people that have gone to, like, full-blown modeling school then?
I haven't, but I know there's kind of, like, a whole world out there of, like, that type of stuff, of, like, camps and then, like, showcases where you go and, like, just like do like a model showcase and they have a bunch of agents there like trying to sign you. Like there's a whole thing of that, like similar with like acting. I think they combine like acting and modeling. And some agencies have like modeling schools too. But yeah, I don't know all what that entails. But it's definitely like not something you need unless you feel like for me it was definitely a confidence booster. So I like needed that to really push me. So but like yeah, modeling is something you can figure out too on your own.
Yeah, and you mentioned like, I don't know, last thing on that, I think you mentioned like the business side of things, and obviously I think that's probably something that could probably go a long way in the modeling space, like just at least knowing how to like present yourself, how to manage like deals and contracts. Like if you're doing like a big campaign for like American Eagle, like you want to like make sure you're not like gonna leave there with like a couple $100 you know?
Exactly. So it's like
it's beneficial.
It was, that was really helpful, especially if you're like a freelance model, like you don't have an agency. That his like little talk was like really good for people.
Cool.
Jumping into the next question. Yes. This is my favorite one. I like wrote it today and I was like, that's good. Who is, because like we work with a bunch of models. We're always on set. Who is like consistently your favorite person on set? I think I might have an idea of who it is, but like that one person where like if it's like a 4-day shoot, you're like like.
Ooh.
And when I say favorite person, like I mean like photographer, makeup person, director.
I don't know. It's so hard. I
didn't know if you had like a
because I don't know. I love everybody and I love when people are like passionate about what they do and just happy to be there. So I think it depends more on like the person.
Yeah. Or like
rather than rather than like the job they do, because
how about, so you just did a shoot with Mall of America, which we can get into later, but like at that shoot, who was your favorite?
Oh, it's so hard. I really loved the stylists there and their like energy that they brought to it. Yeah.
That's what I would have guessed. I would have guessed it would have been stylists or like makeup artists.
I feel like I spend the most time with like stylists and makeup artists.
And I feel like they understand models more than like other people on set.
Yeah.
Sometimes, yeah. I mean, the photographers are pretty good, but yeah, I feel like I spend the most time talking to like the stylists and the makeup artists just because my time with them is longer. Of like just kind of chilling. Or like when getting hair and makeup done, like there's time to talk.
Right.
Yeah. Good answer. I guess there's like pros and cons to both. I guess like, and you're probably like after the shoot, like maybe if it was like a really, really good photographer that like inspired you, like you follow that person and you see like what they're up to and what they're doing.
That's actually this week a photographer I worked with. I've actually worked with her all week. Her name is Lauren Christie, and I worked with her a few months back, and after working with her, we were like, oh, we should set up a time to just shoot, like, the two of us. So we're going to do that this week.
Oh, cool.
With, like, one of our stylists, too.
That's super cool.
Yeah. So it's, like, it's fun. Yeah.
Networking.
It's fun.
We have 2 more questions left on the rapid fire. What helped you develop your skills the most, like, from age 14 to 24?
Ooh, just practicing and just, like, doing shoots for fun, whether it's just like with my phone or with my cousin. Just practicing, and then like kind of watching seeing other shoots and seeing what inspired me and what I liked, and just trying to like recreate it. Help me like kind of figure out my own thing.
Yeah, I think it's like similar to photography. Like when I was starting out, it's just like getting behind the camera. For you, it's just like getting in front of the camera. Like I think I even look at a lot of photographers that are like, if I'm not getting paid, I'm not going to do it. And then it's just like, well, then you're probably not going to develop as quickly as you'd want. So
no, that's so important. It's just the love for what you do. And like
the final rapid fire question. This is for the people that aren't models, but they want like that girl that wants to post good Instagram photos, that guy that wants to look natural on camera. What is the go-to pose? What is like the most simple pose that everyone should do? Or what's like a tip to not look rigid on camera? This is for me. Too. This is for me.
I think a big thing is people's hands and like having your hands relaxed. Cause like you'll see it like if you're up here and your hands are like stiff, it really makes a difference when you just like relax and touch things. Which is something too I've now noticed is like where I hold tension when I do photo shoots. I think was I telling you about this?
Maybe
not, but I've realized I hold it in like my toes. So if there's like pictures of me sitting or something, like my whole body will be like relaxed and then my toes are like and I'm like funny. Oh no. So it's like relax. But then I've been doing like foot modeling, so then after that like I notice like my shoulders get really sore because I'm like that's where I'm holding it because I can't do it with my toes. But there's been some whack pictures where my feet are like I'm like oh God, like what's going on?
That's so funny.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
So like do you have like a pose, or is it more so just
I feel like right now my pose is like touching my my lip. Yeah, just like
maybe I can like
just like
I can think of a few.
That's like my like you're thinking, but like you're like
I think it's the eyes too, though. I think like the eyes can really tell a lot.
Too, I've been trying to like be conscious of when I'm shooting is kind of what I'm doing with my eyes, and I try to like make contact with the camera, but like I don't know, it's weird like my thought process I feel like behind it, because it's like I try to look like make it feel like I'm looking through the camera completely,
like deep into the camera, or kind of like just stargazing kind of through it.
No, like I'm trying to like engage my eyes to go like through
it.
Like, I don't, that's what I like think about while I do it, like my thought, but like
that can help though. That can help. Like I wonder if like you're like I'm gonna try to,
and it'll be interesting to see if there's an actual difference or I'm just making this all up.
It's like I gotta like look at the sensor of that camera through that lens. Interesting.
Like I just try and imagine myself going straight through it.
I don't know. Interesting. I think it's hard. It's so much harder than you think, and I think it's also like a developable skill.
It really is.
I'm trying to figure out, like Devin gave me perspective on that, because when Devin started working for us, and you haven't met Devin, but he's like really good at just like striking a pose in front of a camera. And then like we did a few shoots in here and stuff, and I was like, I'm gonna try to get better at this. And I definitely have gotten like incrementally better, but I know there's like so much more.
Yeah.
It's like
definitely it's a comfort thing too, because it's like once you kind of have your few poses that you feel comfortable in, you can just kind of flip through them pretty quickly.
Yeah.
That's true.
So it's just like that's like a big thing is I just like will practice. And then I'll like I'll see photos from shoots and be like, ooh, I like how this one looks. So then
it's
I'll
just
be like,
so
keep that
crazy
in mind.
though how quickly I don't have to tell you anything. Like when
now
we
I've
did the
got it
shoot
down
the other
pretty well.
or like a few months ago, it's like you're just like, and then you're doing crazy faces, and I'm like, oh my god, it's so cool.
Well, it's nice with you because I'm really comfortable with you, so I'm not afraid to like go like try something a little whack. Or like if I'm like with a bunch of strangers, I'm like,
that makes sense.
But that's why I like those shoots, because then I'm like, okay, now I feel
you're
comfortable
able to kind
doing
of like
this,
expand,
and then I can do it with other people.
Yeah, that's super interesting. Like there's so much to learn. And like Caitlin said, like when you're shooting with a good model, you're shooting. It's so like I know within the first like 4 photos if I'm like with a professional model or if I'm with someone who like is newer or something like that. And I mean, you get good photos regardless. It's just like how much time do we want to spend here?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like we recently did a shoot with a fitness company, and like we're getting models, and we got a bunch of fitness models, and we got one model that kind of was like maybe marketed a little bit as a fitness model, but wasn't necessarily a fitness model. And it was kind of interesting. And we just worked through it, and they all turned out amazing. And it was just working through it. Yeah. Like that's all it ever is. And it's like, it's not even a big deal. It's just like,
you just kind of, go through it.
Yeah.
As it happens.
I'm sure you've had instances too where you're like, oh dang, this is a lot different than I thought. And then you just have to work through it. So now now everyone kind of understands like who you are a little bit. We're going to get kind of into like the meat of things a little bit. Okay. So wondering how
do you want to just pull
it a little closer?
Yeah. Well,
okay.
How does someone get started as a model? Like, what do you think would be like the first step? Like I wake up one day, I'm like, I want to be a model. What happens?
Well, okay, probably practicing stuff. I would say the biggest, like, first thing you should have is digitals, which are just like what Caitlin and I took today. So it's like usually an all black outfit, form-fitting clothes, and you just need like a front, side, back, side little pictures. Yeah, little mugshot, close up, full body. You can do them literally with your phone, because that is like my recommendation would be to like get an agency, and that's what agencies are going to ask you for is digitals. So that would probably be the first thing I would have, but also just like practicing and like researching what agencies you like and want to maybe be a part of.
Besides the digital part, or the digitals part, do you think like having a portfolio of...
I don't think you necessarily need to build one before you start. It's always nice to have it. Like if you have like photographer friends, like go try a shoot, like see if you like it and enjoy it and just get comfortable in front of the camera. But you don't need one to start modeling for sure.
Yeah, Zach does a lot of stuff like that.
Yeah.
He'll do Zach's with Hagen Creative, but he'll do like some models will come in and just give him like $50 for like a roll of film and like some of his time, and then he'll just like grab like 30 photos of them and help them build their book a little bit.
Yeah. Because that's something like once you get an agency, then they'll start helping you build your book. But because they'll kind of then like cater like the looks to you, or like they'll set you up with photographers usually and be like, this is kind of the look we want you to go for to market you.
Yeah. And what are the photos called again on the white background?
Digitals.
So so you do so it'd be like get digitals, send them to agencies, hope an agency picks you up, and then build your book.
And with like agencies too, you kind of, I always find it good to like go through and do a bunch of research on the agencies and be like, rather than just be like, okay, I hope one picks me. It's more of like, which one do I want to be with? And two, if you don't hear back from an agency, they're always like gaining models, losing models kind of. So like if they don't pick you, then it could just be because they have another person who looks like you, but in like 5 months they might not have them anymore, or might be looking for more who look like you. So it's never like a definite, if it's a no, it's never a definite no. It's like apply again in a few months because they could want you then.
Okay.
Which is,
yeah, that's super interesting. And how important is like picking a good agency? Like, is it bad to be that like model that's popped around from agency to agency, or is it kind of like whoever you're with at the time, and it's not like really that big of a deal?
I don't really know because I've only really been with one agency. You can have multiple agencies in different markets. So like I have an agency that's like for Wisconsin, Illinois, and I think Iowa.
Karen, right?
No, that's my one here.
Okay.
So I have a different one. I have one, for Minnesota.
Okay.
And then I have one for Mexico.
Okay.
So you can have them in different, it just depends on the contract. So like my one, the Rock agency in, that does like the other part, or oh my gosh, Wisconsin. Yeah, the other parts of the Midwest. Like I'm exclusive with them in those states.
Okay.
So I can only do work for them in those states.
Interesting.
And then I think Minnesota is maybe non-exclusive, so I could get other agencies here if I wanted to.
And how do you find these agencies? Are you searching like modeling agencies Minnesota, modeling agencies Midwest, or are you like finding people on Instagram? You're like, oh, this girl's
a bit of both.
Okay.
I'll look up agencies and then I'll usually look at their Instagram and see if like my agents from back home are following them, or if other modeling agencies are following them, because that way you can kind of make sure they're more legit.
Yeah.
So I kind of go through who's following them.
There's a lot of credibility to like the spider web of things. Like,
yes.
It's like, oh, this is followed by like Warner Brothers or something.
Yeah.
And like, that's like,
they
have a lot of credibility, or they just did work with Target. Like, that's good.
So that way you can, make sure you're finding a real.
Yeah. Cool. That's super good. And that's actually kind of cool. So like when you're looking for an agency to represent you, you find that agency to represent you. Cool. Now what's the next step? Is the agency going to come to you and say like, hey, we need to nail down what kind of model you want to be or what you want to do?
Sometimes, yeah. Otherwise they'll kind of, sometimes when they sign you, they'll kind of already have an idea of what
your look would
be and like what they're going to market you as.
Okay.
Sometimes, I mean, I think depending on the agency, you can have more or less say in that of what you want to do. But then after that, they'll start doing test shoots with you, which are like, usually you pay for them. You pay a photographer, stylist, makeup team to do a shoot for your portfolio. Okay. Then is normally how.
And then you start building this book.
Yes.
Cool.
How would you describe what kind of model you are, if you know?
I don't really know. I feel like I do a lot of different things.
Yeah.
Foot model right now. That's the easy answer. Yeah.
And that you did foot modeling for that shoe company, and just a few different things, I'm assuming.
I've done it for the same shoe company twice, but that's like the main like request I get from my agents is they're like, hey, can you send us pictures of your feet? And I'm like, yeah.
That's
like,
funny.
Sure. The dogs are out.
Yeah, no, literally.
No, that's super interesting. I think that should give a lot of clarity to people that are just kind of looking to get started.
Yeah.
That's like definitely a good start. And then I think like once they get to that point, once you get represented, I think everyone kind of probably has a slightly different path from there on out. Like, hey, we want you to do this. Then your agency kind of takes you and tells you kind of what they think is the best plan of action for you, and what route you should go. Like I said, we work with a swimsuit or swimwear company, and they're really focused on like providing photos and images of like petite, medium, and plus size models, and it's all these models are so good. Like, it's crazy. There's like a lane for everyone. Like, so, like this plus size model that we work with is like, has like this energy in the room where you're like she just owns the room. It's pretty insane. And then she like does the runway stuff. And I'm just like, I've seen her like every time we go anywhere, she's like constantly with this company, which is like kind of insane. And like, I think, you know, it's just interesting. Like this whole world is kind of changing, and
no,
like,
it is, yeah.
And like, you can, I don't know, you could maybe get represented by an agency, and they might say like, hey, we think you might be better off in this realm or this area.
Yes.
We're just gonna push that for you.
Yes. That's
and yeah, it's kind of, it's honestly really, really insane.
It is.
And there's such a demand for everyone.
Yeah. Right now there is, or it's getting better, I think. But yeah, it's, I mean, some of like the more dark side of the industry is there's like, even for me, I've always been told to like lose weight.
Yeah.
With my agencies.
Yeah.
And they kind of will sometimes make you feel like you can't get work if you don't do that. But like now I've like, just this year I've been like, oh my gosh, like I have not lost any weight and I'm working more than I ever have.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like they don't, like there definitely is a demand for everybody, but they will still try to push you into these like old standards.
Yeah, and I think that's probably just like that part of the industry probably will eventually age out and like get to a point where it's more progressive and forward thinking. But I do think that like even like, for example, the plus size model that we've worked with, like she was plus size, but you could tell she like still went to the gym and still like she had like tone in like her legs and like you could tell she still like treated her body as a temple and like still wanted to like, and I think that's like, you know, being a plus size model doesn't mean you just sit on the couch and do nothing.
And that's why it's so like important to like showcase those, because every body is built different.
And like totally.
You can't. No. Sometimes you just can't do anything about it. Everyone's bone structure is different.
Exactly. And so like
that's why it's so
there
cool
definitely
to see.
needs to be more of a space for that in the industry.
Yeah. Interesting. And we're going to get into all that. That's on like here.
When we started talking about diets, that's like a good segue into our next.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. Well, I guess we can kind of jump into like the not glamorous part of things if you kind of brought that up. Like obviously everyone thinks like being a model, like you just travel the world and do shoots with Louis Vuitton and Christian Dior and all this stuff. And like, yes, that is true for like these 1%ers
super tiny
of people. But like, tell me about some of like the not so glamorous parts of the industry. Like is competition tough? Like
actually competition hasn't been tough, but I don't know if that's just me because I'm not like a really competitive person. But like in Mexico, like I was living with people I would be at the same castings with or whatever. But it was very friendly and we'd just be like, oh, hi, like you're here too. And then it would just kind of be like, which is great because I was nervous it was going to be like scary. So like I would say, I feel like competition is probably a big thing, but I haven't really felt that way, but it might just be because of how I am as a person.
Or it might be more so like for those like more high end shoots or like those
or something where it gets
get a
more
little
intense.
Competitive.
But like at the end of the day too, like it's just up to what look fits the shoot best.
Yeah.
So there's not much like you yourself can do.
Yeah.
You can just go in there and try your best.
Give it your best.
You know, at the end of the day, it's just what they're looking for.
Yeah.
And if you're the one, like, you're the one.
Yeah,
like,
you're the one they're looking for. Yeah. So that's just,
That's interesting. And I've noticed this recently. And I was talking with a model that we did a shoot with. And she is like a very pale skin ginger model. And she was explaining to us that like ever since COVID and like a few things that like there's been a big push for like diverse models. And she was like, it's actually crazy because I was like so busy and now I'm kind of feel like I'm getting cornered out because I'm just not really the ideal candidate for a lot of these like corporate companies.
Yeah.
Do you see that happening at all? Do you see maybe just yourself working with more diverse people or anything like that?
Yeah, for sure, which is great. I think one of my shoots the other day, I think I was like the only white person there or like model. Yeah. Which is awesome. Yeah. And then I just am like, oh, wow, I got to be the one that got picked for that, which is so cool. But I think,
And in terms of diversity, when you're in Mexico and are the models with you like also from the States? Are they from all around the world?
There were some castings I would go to where we'd be from everywhere. Like
that's
there'd be like a bunch of us from the States, some of them from like Brazil and Colombia, Europeans. Like it was so cool. It was really cool.
That's awesome.
That is so cool though.
But then there were a few castings I went to where it was like, okay, they're looking for a specific person because like all of us are from the States.
Yeah.
Okay. Or like have this similar look. Yeah.
No, I think that's super important. Sometimes I think, and this is just from like the video perspective, like, and we always cast like very diverse groups of people. Sometimes it's interesting because like we'll work with a brand and we'll cast like diverse people for like 3 or 4 shoots in a row. Yeah. And then like we'll put together like a model list and it won't be as diverse. And they'll be like, we need more diversity. Sometimes I do think, like, at least right now, I feel like sometimes it's a little forced, the diversity. That's personally just me, but I think that like sometimes I feel like my clients are really, really, really pushing for it. And I'm like, guys, it's okay. We can put together like a not so diverse cast. You know, it doesn't need to be like, oh, we have, you know, 1 African-American, 1 Asian, 1 white person. Like sometimes I feel like when I watch videos like that or watch commercials like that, sometimes I'm like, it's a little too forced. Obviously you want to represent everyone as best as you can. Yeah. But I think you have to look at it like holistically. Like, is the brand holistically inviting people in, or is it like every single shoot is like to a T, like split right down the middle? Yeah. You know? Yeah. So.
Yeah. It's very interesting.
Yeah. How with you said like the losing weight, stuff like that. How do you maintain like a thick skin and a positive attitude when like people are telling you to like lose weight or you show up? Have you ever showed up and been like kicked out or like anything like?
No, but I've had that fear like all the time. Yeah. I feel like I mean, it's just a lot of practice and like learning that like what these people say, like you can't let it affect you. Yeah. Cause like I've gone the route where like they tell me to lose weight and I'm like, okay, I gotta lose weight and I gotta do this. And like, I just like wasn't happy. I wasn't working. I like didn't enjoy it. And then when I finally stopped and was like, okay, this is how my body's gonna look. Like, we're just gonna have to accept it. Yeah. That's when I like started enjoying it more, started actually working. And it's crazy. Like when you're finally just like accept it and you're like, okay, this is what it is. Like, that's when I feel like the work really started for me.
That's awesome.
You have to like know yourself and be true to yourself. And especially you, like that's impressive that you've been able to do that coming into the industry at 14. Cause I think like you're so vulnerable and like shapeable, like,
and you're still growing.
Yeah. You're still growing, but like they can like make your brain think certain ways. Like they can like kind of like make you kind of go down like a dark path. I feel like early on. So,
and I think you did like struggle.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. Like I'd say I never worked or anything until I was like 22, 21. And like, I'm so thankful for that I really didn't get in the industry too young. Like I had a few agents I was talking to when I was younger. And right out of high school, I started working with an agency and like, I had to stop for like a year or two just because of like the pressure of like losing weight and like trying to be healthy and keep my mind healthy. And so there's a lot that like I'm just very thankful that I used to be like upset that I wasn't doing it when I was younger, but now I'm like, oh, thank goodness I didn't, because
especially just so at that age, hard. It's so
and like so I really
vulnerable. That's a word.
I really like feel for like when I see like super young girls, I'm like, oh my gosh, I hope they're taking care of themselves and I hope they have like a good foundation and support with them.
Yeah. And I think it's even also like, just like, as like you've been in the industry for years, like when you see someone that maybe looks a little bit more vulnerable or looks down and like, we'll get into like model houses and stuff like that. But like, you have to like, maybe even just like, you seem like a pretty level-headed, clear person. Like, I think just letting them know, like, hey, they're going to tell you this, but like, you have to kind of, I think models should do a good job of like banding together and being like, we are an army kind of thing.
I know.
Community is probably really important.
Yeah.
And just like, I feel like too, when I first really started, like being from like where I am, like I didn't have the opportunity to talk to a lot of models. So as I started like meeting more, it was like so helpful to like be like, okay, we're all kind of going through similar experiences. Like we've all had agents tell us this, but like this has been the reality. So that's been like great. I haven't like met any models that I like haven't liked or like haven't been nice.
And
which
I think like everyone goes through the same thing in terms of that.
Yeah. And I feel like, I don't know, this might have just been for me, but I feel like there was kind of like a stigma around it where I was like, okay, they're all going to be like kind of mean and like scary and I'm going to be not going to want to be friends with any of them. But like, I like haven't met one like mean person.
They're all just people.
They're all so nice.
Yeah, I've noticed that too. Like every time we go on set, the models seem to always get along. And it's like funny because I just saw this like Instagram reel today, and it was like it was more about acting, but it was like acting is like awkward on set, and they like showed all these behind the scenes from like Euphoria, and it was so awkward. They're like and they like zoom in on like the background people and they're like talking, but they're not actually talking. So it's like they're just like moving their mouth, and then it's awkward, and then like they're like in this big fight and they're like yelling at each other, and it's like so animated, it's ridiculous. But like for the movie, like you're so into this movie, you're so into the show that like the drama and like the height of things like is insane. Like I don't know, I just thought it was so funny. And like I've seen that too, where we're shooting with like multiple models and they have to like hug each other, be like really like happy, and it's like it's kind of funny because like the vibe might not actually be like that.
Right.
No, it's usually like so awkward. Like I've done a couple like wedding shoots where I've had like a husband, and like that.
I saw that on your page. I was like, because I was trying to make your thing, and then I was like, is she married?
No, I like posted them on like my like personal Instagram, just on my story, and I had so many people be like, you got married? And I was like, no, I didn't.
So that's what is that, a wedding dress company, or is that a wedding venue?
That was for I think one of them was maybe more for the venue, and then another one was like for, I think it's called Premier Bride Wisconsin or something, so like a magazine. I think it was just a digital magazine, but those are fun because you're working with like local dress boutiques, local event planning, photographer, like wedding photographer, models. So like it's fun because it's like all people from like a similar area. But it's like super awkward because I'm like, wait, I don't even know. Like, I have to act like you're my husband, and I don't even know what that's like. And like, we just met this morning, and now we have to like pretend we're in love, talking, and like, it's so funny. It's so much fun though. Like, like once you get past the like, okay, this is so awkward. It's like, it's so much. You're like, this is like dumb, but it's funny.
As soon as it's like cut, you like look at the person that you're like your husband, and you're like, oh, what's up, dude? This is we're both in this together. No, it's not like, comfortable for either of us.
They'll be like, okay, now talk and act like you're having fun. So then we're like, oh, like, how's the weather? Like, you know, like you're just trying to like come up with things to talk about. Like, just like so make it look like you're. It's so funny.
That's super funny. Last question on kind of like the not so glamorous side. Do you ever deal with any like ruthless directors or like client, like agency is just like pretty ruthless, or no?
I haven't had that experience. I know it's definitely out there.
I think I just kind of give an example. I think it's funny because like we did a shoot in San Diego with the swimwear company again, and there was this like petite model that really wasn't like, she did nothing wrong. Well, kind of. So she didn't really fit in a lot of the swimsuits. So we were constantly like pinning and like spending a bunch of time trying to make sure the swimsuits fit right. And then like when we would shoot, she would just like always be playing with her hair, and we told her like, hey, everything's fine, just like stop playing with your hair. And then like it started like we started to get through all the other models, and she was like falling behind. Oh, I see. And they were like kind of like, it's just not working out. It really, I mean, it doesn't really have much to do with her. She's not really fitting in our products, and like we can't put this on our website regardless. So we don't want to waste your time. We don't want to waste our time. We're just gonna pay you and then send you home. Oh, okay. And I feel like it was kind of like I felt super awkward. I was like, oh my gosh, really I can't believe like we had to have that conversation with her. But at the same time, like she might, I don't know. The idea was like, she may think we're like this ruthless company that's like, but at the same time, it's like, no, this just happened to not work out.
Yeah. I mean, I had that experience, when you were in Chicago with me. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I was working the bridal market I would say they were probably like the most like ruthless.
Yeah.
Like, I was the most intimidated. But like we had to do kind of like a little like runway show, like 6 times the whole day in their booth. Which it was fine. It was fun. But I ended up being cut after that day because they were like, you're too short, actually. So then I was supposed to be working for them for 3 days. And then one day. And then just one day. And I was like down in Chicago, had like a hotel for like
3 days.
3 days, which I ended up getting picked up by another booth, which was good. But but I mean, like, I don't know.
I think it's like, just don't take it personal. Like, you will
you
get
really
cut.
Can't.
You're not going to go your whole.
You really
Sometimes
can't.
you like don't even know until you show up to the shoot.
Yeah, exactly.
And then like you're trying on the suits and they don't fit or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
So it's like, you can't take it personal, but it sucks. Yeah.
I think that's the stuff though that could like get to your head a little bit. Like,
and
you just can't let it get to your head because at the end of the day, like, the biggest thing is they don't want to waste anyone's time.
Yeah, and it's not really, you don't have control over it.
Yeah.
It just kind of is sometimes, which it's a bummer. Like, it's not fun, but it happens.
It's the reality.
That's really good advice, I think, for models. Like, control what you can control.
Yeah,
like,
but there's a lot that you don't have control over.
Yeah. Well, especially with like productions and videos and like all this stuff, there's just so many hands in the you have like a client, you have the agency, the photographer, the makeup artist, like you may show up with wacky makeup and be like, well, they just booked a bad makeup artist. I'm still going to do as good as I can. But like this makeup artist is like not it.
That totally, that happens. You just, sometimes you're just like, okay, like I don't like these clothes or like how I look right now, but like it's not about me. It's about the product. So I just have to do the best with what I got.
Yeah, I think that's the mindset you have to have.
And that's something too I've like started thinking about is like, it's not like sometimes I do care about like how I look on shoots and stuff, but like it's not about how I look sometimes. It's about how they think I look.
Right.
So like I can't, like, if I don't feel confident, I'm just like, okay, well, it's not about me and it's not about how I look.
And like sometimes when you look at the ending product of the photos, I just remember we were like scrolling through, you were on like some website and it was like a mid sneeze photo or you were trying to hold back a sneeze and you're just like and you're like, why did they choose that picture?
And there was 2 of them and they chose those ones to be like right on the website and I'm like like it's so bad, but like
but you can't do anything
I can't do it. Like they chose those pictures. I don't know why. I think it's funny, but I'm like, oh, there was definitely like a better one. Or we could have retaken it.
That's super fun.
It's just like trying to hold it my jaw like it's a funky picture. It's funny.
We shot for this soap company and they had to like do a smell and like this model was like kind of like smelling it and it was kind of funny, but then like the client came in and they're like, no, you have to give this thing like a real, like you gotta sniff it. So she was like giving it like a, and it was like, it was like, they looked way better and they were on the right page, but it was like just so funny.
Just so funny. Like sometimes you just have to be like, okay, like I can't, and I just gotta do it.
She would probably look and be like, I don't like the ones where I'm like really stiff. I like the ones where I look more like dainty and like kind of just like smooth.
But like, it's about what the client wants and not you. So that's when I get pictures back, like from like test shoots or like fun shoots, I'll usually send them, or like when they give me like the ones where they're like, pick which ones you want edited. I'll usually send them to a bunch of different people and have them pick because the ones that I like might not be the ones that like market myself well or like
that's interesting
or other people like.
It's good to get another.
So it's I always like getting everyone's opinions on it because I'm curious, like, because I know, like, what I see in the pictures, like, looks totally different than what, like, other people see.
Exactly. And, like, I don't know. I even think of, like, even just pictures of myself. Like, I'm looking for, like, 2 things that I, like, hate about my appearance or whatever. And I'm, like, zooming in and I'm looking for the photos that, like, do the best, showcase that the best. And then, like, other people are just looking at, like, the photo as a whole and how they see you.
Yes, exactly. So it's, like, I always think that's interesting too, to see which pictures other people like best.
Yeah.
And which pictures like I like best, because I'm going to be like the harshest on myself for sure. So then I'm like, okay, I'm going to let other people choose them, because other people like see me as a whole, where I'm like looking for those like little specific things.
You're like, I hate when I smile and I can see my bottom teeth, but like maybe it's not a big deal. Maybe
but like other people are like, I don't care. They're like, I didn't even notice. So it's like, I like to get a lot of opinions on them, just because then I feel like then I can have a good range of like stuff.
Yeah. Cool. I think that's good. That kind of, I mean, there's glamorous sides, there's non-glamorous sides, but honestly, like I thought you would have a lot more ammo, and obviously we haven't got into like model housing yet, but I thought you would.
I've been very lucky, I think, in my journey, especially getting into it at the age I did, like not doing any work till I was like 20, I think gave me a lot of like ability to advocate for myself if I need to in situations. But yeah, I've been really lucky in not having any.
I also think people are understanding, like, you can't just like, it's not like the 80s. Like you don't just like take, you don't just like rip people down or like, like, I don't know. I think the only industry, and this is all speculative, I never do any work in it, but I feel like high fashion could probably be pretty ruthless. Like very like,
I feel like that
they're like tying your waist skinnier and stuff. Like,
and like,
I feel like that would be my.
Are like super extreme.
Yeah, and like extreme looks and like you have to like do crazy things. Like
I feel like that's probably the more intense.
Yeah.
But I mean, I feel like it happens at all levels. There's just like non-glamorous moments, but I feel like I've been lucky enough to not have to not experience.
That's so good.
Yeah, that's congrats to you.
I'm very thankful for it. Very thankful.
So I want to transition a little bit into like the hustle of being a model.
Okay.
There's obviously not easy. Like, do you have examples when you had to like hustle for work or hustle during work?
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
Like, think of like, are there any times where you had like super long hours or like, or like I haven't had a job in like 3 weeks. So like I have to book something.
That's like, a lot of it is super, for me, like bookings have been so sporadic. Like I'll have like a few weeks without anything. And then like this week I had like 2 really big jobs. Yeah. But like before this, I think my last job was probably end of June. My last like big job. So it's like
the waiting.
Yeah, it's a lot of just waiting. But like crazy hours, I feel like, I mean, this week has been crazy for me.
Also, I feel like your casino thing was really crazy.
Yes, that was crazy. I did a commercial for a casino in Wisconsin, and that we shot overnight for like 3 days.
That's so crazy. That's interesting.
Yeah, it was wild.
But aren't casinos open 24 hours? But obviously at the nights when they have the least amount of people.
It was like, we were like, I think it was like Tuesday to Thursday. But like my call time would be like midnight. And then we'd shoot until like 10 a.m.
Oh my God.
Which was
How did you sleep? Just all day?
I just like would take a melatonin in the morning. Or like, and hope I would sleep.
Oh my God.
It was crazy. And like, that was my first time really being in a casino, and I was like, I never need to come back here. Because, like, they had all the lights and all the sounds, and I was like, it's 4 a.m. Like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah,
it was like, it was crazy.
And did they close off, like, a portion of the casino, or did they literally close down the casino for the shoot?
They didn't close down the casino, so, like, they would, I don't know if they would kind of block off where we were shooting, but, like,
it was quieter at 4 in the morning.
Yeah, seeing the crowd there on like a weekday at like 4 a.m. Like there's still people there. Like it was crazy. It was like, I don't know. It was interesting to see and experience.
The crowd. Yeah. I mean, that's interesting.
I mean, even the fact that people were in there at like,
like why are you there?
Yeah.
It was on a Tuesday.
It was kind of, it was really an interesting experience.
Yeah. That is crazy. I've had nights at the casino where I was like stayed up really late for whatever reason, and then like when you do look around, you're like, wow, okay, I need to go to bed.
What
I need to go home. What am I doing here?
But I
right
was
now?
like, the whole thing kind of just felt like a fever dream because you're like, you're exhausted. You've been like awake for so long. It's like, like 3 a.m. You're hearing all these dingings, all these lights. And you're like, what's happening?
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's crazy. And what was that? So were you doing like acting there too? So you weren't just modeling. It wasn't just photos.
That was actually kind of a wild experience for me. So I got originally, so there were modeling like positions, acting positions, and like extra positions. So I got originally hired on as an extra to be like in the background. But then somebody couldn't do the modeling. So then I was brought up to be a model. So I think the first night I was just extra in video. And then this next 2 days I was supposed to be in photo. But I think somebody who was in the cast got sick, so they like pulled me on to the acting set. And I was like, okay, like I'm just standing in for somebody right now. But then all of a sudden they started like changing my hair and makeup, and I was like, oh no, like I'm in this. And like
So what are you walking in, smiling, doing shots?
We were like at a table and somebody was like rolling dice, and we had to be like excited. And I was like, I've never done really any acting, and like now I'm like, okay, it's like 2 a.m. and now I am on camera, and I just
being thrown into that right away.
But I think that was the best way for me because I think otherwise I would have overthought it too much. So I was just kind of like, okay, I just have to do this because they're rolling and I really don't have any other choice.
That's kind of cool too. And I think like, I mean, for instance, like when we book a lot of models, we're looking for like model actors.
Okay,
and things like that.
I mean, a lot of people cross over and do both.
And that's a good way to, probably even if you're a model and you're struggling to get gigs as a model, maybe you could try to do some acting stuff.
Especially because like the acting doesn't really necessarily mean like you're reading lines.
No, because I mean, I'll get like self-tapes a lot of the time for commercials. They'll send them to models like for non-speaking stuff. Yeah. Like I've had some where like I've had to send in tapes where I'm like pretending to put lotion on and like stuff like that. So they'll use models for that.
You were gonna like be like playing a video game and
and then I had to like pretend I was working at Best Buy. Like it's so funny.
You did a Best Buy shoot?
No, I didn't do it, but like I was gonna send in a self-tape for it where I like had to like do the roles of playing the video game or working.
So funny.
Yeah, it's interesting because like, but we have had instances, so we'll be like looking for models and actors, and we've had instances where it's like, I feel so bad because I'm like, I send over like a 5-page script and I'm like, hey, we're doing 5 videos. Each page is a script that you have to remember. Yeah. And like, I'm like, there's no chance. Yeah. Like the shoot's in a week.
No,
So it's honestly kind of crazy. And then we like go line by line and work through it and stuff like that. But that's like one thing I think, I mean, there's obviously actor roles where you don't do that. And like, that's why when I call the agency, I'm like, hey, this is a very script heavy thing. Like we need a model actor that's really good with scripts. And then she'll send me like 10 people.
Oh, that's good.
Versus like, so I think, just being honest and transparent with your agency is probably good too. Like, cause you can be an actor, but just be like on video, like walking and smiling and doing stuff like that.
Exactly. Which is like what I've mainly done for video. But I think it's really great to like try to dip into both because it just opens your opportunities. Cause with acting, there's not like the body standards that modeling has. Like anybody can do acting if you're good at it.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah, I mean anybody can model, but it's just there are those like specifics that they're looking for. You know, it just makes it more difficult.
There's just more variables, right? We're like we're looking for someone with a good voice, someone with good facial expression, someone with good energy, someone who's like animated, right? And then like the body and the shape of this person is now just like one thing out of like 10 instead of like one thing out of 3.
Yes,
and it doesn't have to be that picture perfect look.
So it's like, acting opens a lot more opportunities.
Yeah.
Acting also, like if I was a model, I think acting would be like fun.
It would be fun.
It is fun. Like the
little
bit that I've done is fun, but like I'm not like a script for like I've never tried that. I had to do a self-tape in Mexico and I had to say like a line in Spanish and I was like, oh no, this is not gonna go well. That was that's like the only time I've ever had to like say a line in something too, and it was like it was rough for me.
Yeah, it's hard. We did like skits, like Bloom skits here.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
that was hard.
Yeah.
It was so like, I would be like, hey Deb, how's that edit coming? And like you would say it and it like wouldn't have enough energy, and then I would say it and then I'd be like, that didn't even sound like me. That came out like completely weird. And then like you start to get in your own head a little bit. It's a battle. I part of me wishes like, I don't know, I would have in high school, I would have like never done theater or anything like that. But I think like low key, like that's kind of cool. Like I wish I would have like, I wish I would have just had that like that energy, that aura.
And just the ability to like, or when we just did the voiceover, actors are insane.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
like it's insane.
We did tell them a story.
Well, we just did this like suicide hotline voice acting, and they had to, it was basically like a call with the suicide hotline. It was like a mom on the phone with like her son was like in the bathroom.
Oh my gosh. That's
and
intense.
it was literally like, okay, action, boom, immediate bawling, tears, like
what?
It was like hyperventilating. Like
my son is in the bathroom, he has a knife. And then he's like, ma'am, is everything okay? Can you please tell me where your son is? He's in an upstairs bathroom or a downstairs bathroom? Like they're like talking through this.
Like I could not believe. And then we're like, okay, cut immediately. They just stop.
They're just like,
and they're just laughing.
They're laughing. They're like, that was awesome. You crushed it. It was like, what the heck?
What?
It was like,
I would be like low key trauma. Like I'd be like, oh my gosh, like are you okay? Like,
right? I'm like, was that real?
It was heavy to like listen to.
I bet that's like a hard thing to
And like the whole purpose of it was they are using it for training purposes because they say like they hire hotline people, but they don't really know what they're getting into, and then they last like a week or two and they're like, holy crap, this is really heavy and hard for me. So now they can like play these recordings and be like, hey, because they can't play an actual call, so they had to replicate the call, and the writing was so good. And I don't know, I actually want to like, we did the audio recordings, but I want to like upsell because like they were recorded so well. I want to upsell like, I don't know, it might be kind of dark, but like an animation of like what is happening. It would be super like interesting really to like watch this whole scenario happen. And they were doing like, they'd be like, I have a bottle of pill. Like there was one guy who was like a drunk guy. And he's like, I got a gun and I intend to use it. And he's like drunk, and she's like, sir, listen. And that was like a level 5 because when someone calls and they're like really intoxicated.
It like depends.
And like they have a gun, it's like, holy crap, we have to talk this person off the ledge. Like this is... Nice. So
my gosh,
moral of the story: acting is a special talent.
Oh, like, it really is. Sure. It's crazy.
That was one of those moments too. In the first 4 seconds, I was like, okay, we've casted good people here.
Yeah, that's crazy. That would be so intense to be a part of.
I know.
Yeah. So tell me, you travel a little bit for work. Does that ever get exhausting? Like that's obviously hustle too, because I know when we travel for work, I guess this might be a little different for you, but like when we're carrying like 6 Pelican cases through the airport and you're like just lugging so much gear around, it's like exhausting. But do you like the travel? Does it get exhausting?
I love to travel, so I love it, but it does get exhausting because if I'm traveling for modeling, I'm like way more conscious about other things. Like, okay, if I eat this before the plane, am I gonna be like bloated then for my shoot, so I won't feel comfortable, or like just like things like that, like okay,
or like, oh, I'm like super tired after that flight.
Yes, after that flight, like now I have eye bags. Yeah, or like how is my skin gonna be affected by the flight? So there's just like more that I'm like conscious about than normal.
Than just getting on a plane.
Than just like getting on the plane to go on vacation or something.
Yeah, it's a whole different vibe.
It's a whole different,
Like when I'm at the airport and I'm like going to like a bachelor party with my friends or something, I'm like really excited, and then like you just don't have that same feeling.
No, it's like I'm like
because looking at the itinerary, like okay, the shoot is this day,
and like I'm planning out like okay, like this week was like that.
She was about to fly to LA on Saturday, which that got pushed back, but like
maybe
or
so
maybe
not.
Still will. I don't know.
Still up in the air, but like even this week, just coordinating like, okay, I have a fitting this time. I need to get my nails done for this shoot, and then I have a shoot this day, then I have to get to the fitting afterwards, then I have to get a spray tan for this other shoot, but it has to be done after the fittings so it doesn't transfer. So it's like just all this like
so much to think
coordination
about.
And like figuring out times, and like it was kind of a lot, but it's fun still. So
And like you land late and you're like, okay, I got to wake up early in the morning. Like I'm not even tired right now, but I somehow have to go to bed. We lost like just jet lag and things like that.
It's just like,
there's a lot to think about. I think
a lot more thinking about. Yeah.
It's given me a lot of perspective too. Cause when I'm at the airport and I see like someone that's like high strung, I'm like, why is that guy high strung? I'm just chilling. I'm hanging out. But now that
then you're in that situation.
Like sometimes when I'm working and I'm like running late, I'm like, oh gosh, I got to get like through this.
Yeah. No, I feel like I change like, cause normally when I travel, I'm like, okay, like it would suck to miss my flight, but like,
if it does,
you know, like, oh well. But then when I'm like traveling for work, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't miss this flight because I gotta do stuff, and I'm like, I'm a lot more anxious than when I'm normally traveling.
And you kind of alluded to it, but you have like, we're talking still kind of about this like whole hustle thing.
Yes.
You say you have to like watch what you eat. You have to treat your body kind of like a temple. Like stupid things like eating a bunch of dairy could like make you break out. So like you have to be like photo ready at all times. Like how important is that? What do you kind of do to like make sure that that's always dialed in?
I would say I just more listen to my body and like eat things that make me feel good rather than is this going to make me like look a certain way, but like how do I feel when I eat these foods? And I feel like that's helped a lot because I've started not bloating as much or anything because I'm like, okay, don't eat foods that make my stomach hurt.
Yeah.
So a lot of that I feel like is what I do, but like I don't try to put myself like on a strict diet or anything. Just mainly, like I just watch how I feel when I eat foods. It's like what I do for diet.
Yeah.
That's a big thing. And just like understanding your body. And I think that's like a great outlook on it of like, oh, every time I eat gluten, I get a stomach ache. Or
so maybe,
every
do that. Yeah. It's kind of my mindset.
Yeah. That's interesting. That's a good way to look at it.
Yes. I've learned, I feel like, to stop doing it for like results or like for other people. Same with working out. Like I hated working out when I was doing it for the goal of like looking to please my agency or to look good, but when I do it and I'm just like to feel good, it totally changes everything 100%. And the results from it for sure.
I totally agree. I even relate to that too.
Yes.
Like
I do too.
Before it's just like working out because like this is gonna be like the result at the end.
Yes, like but doing now it it's for like, that. But
I'm going on a run because the endorphins after feel so good. And
like it helps me mentally. Like I feel good when I do it. So 100%. That's now how I try to look. Because I've gone the whole route with like modeling of like, okay, I need to be on a strict diet. I need to like eat keto or something or like.
But then you're constantly working. Like you're literally every time you eat food, you're working.
Yes, it's like constant, and then you have these constant like pressure of like, oh my gosh, I have to eat this so I look this way so I get work, but like you can get work like no matter what.
It just absorbs you in your life.
And then like I think the most like the worst thing you can do is like restrict. Like I think there's guaranteed models out there that like restrict for reasons that are not even due to them. Like
it's
So
that's the bummer part of the industry that is causing people to.
That's great advice though. I love the line of just like pay attention to how you feel, and if you feel good after, then like do that.
And like if you feel good, you work better. And the results are better too. So it's like so important to do that.
Yeah.
Totally.
Cool. Well, we're kind of coming down to it. One thing I wanted to talk a little bit about is like model housing.
Yes.
I know I think I've like mentioned it like 4 or 5 times, but like tell me a little bit about like, can you just explain like right off the bat, like what is model housing? What is it?
So model housing is usually just like an apartment that an agency has, and then you pay them rent monthly to live there. So it happens a lot with like international contracts. They like to have like housing for models, or models usually like to have it because you're the one paying for it usually. So if you can have housing through that, that's monthly because you don't usually know how long you're going to be staying in the place you're at. It's just more helpful to like bring new models in and stuff.
And how many people are usually there?
I don't know
or
usually,
from your experience.
But from my experience.
And where were you?
I was in Mexico City, and our apartment could sleep 14. And it was, I think, a 4-bedroom apartment.
Oh my God.
How many bathrooms?
There were 2 full bathrooms.
Okay.
One of them though was inside somebody, like a bedroom.
Okay. So basically.
So basically 1 full bathroom and then 1 like half bath.
Wow.
Which
And does that ever get like high strung? Like for like fridge space? I don't know. I'm just like thinking of
closet space. You had like what, a sliver?
we had like a little cubby for like our closet. It was crazy. Like it was crazy. Luckily though, like never any issues with the bathroom and showering. 'Cause I mean, like at one point there were 14 of us staying there right before I left. I think it was filled up. Which I don't know how that, some miracle that we never had like issues with like scheduling showers or anything.
Wow.
But like, you know, like the kitchen was small, like it was crazy.
Yeah.
It was a crazy environment.
I feel like you probably could get around a very toxic group in there.
Yes,
or like I think like toxicity could
sure.
spread pretty rapidly if it was
And
like 2 or 3 people that are being a certain way.
I think it's the apartment filled up more, it definitely did get a little more tense with just like cleaning and like people not cleaning up after themselves.
Right. I would go
because it's hard when you have we had like a lot of people from the States, people from Colombia, people from Brazil, people from Europe. So you have all these people who like
speak different languages,
have different standards of living,
different ages too. Like I think one of the girls was like maybe late 20s and then our youngest were like 18. So just different stages of life from different places. And then you just kind of throw them all together is like kind of crazy. I have been like told and seen by people that like this model housing is maybe like one of the worst people have seen. So now I feel like I could live in any model housing after this, but
after doing the worst,
it was crazy. Like just.
But you got out of it quick.
Yeah, I only lived there for a month. Yeah.
What?
She immediately was like, I can't do this.
Me and my friend, we were like, after the first like. Literally, I think the first day we were starting to look for Airbnbs because we were like, this
is just not sustainable. It's just not. I can do
like
it for a weekend. If you're like an introverted
person too, like you don't have any space by yourself because you're like each room had 4 girls in it, so like you're with people constantly.
Yeah.
So it was just, and like there was no like for my friend and I, there was nowhere to like sit. Like if we wanted to go sit somewhere, we had to go to a coffee shop because like the dining room. And
you're in a bunk bed, right?
We're in a bunk bed, but ours were so high to the ceiling we couldn't sit in them. So like our only option was.
How many bunks?
In our room there were 2.
Stacked. Oh, but the ceiling.
It was just 2.
Okay,
but, like,
I was like picturing 4.
No. Yeah. But for some reason, like I don't know why ours was just so high to the ceiling that we couldn't sit up. So it was like either laying down or like standing because we didn't want to sit on the other girls' beds or anything.
Yeah.
So it was just, and then like the dining room had like 4 chairs in it.
For 14 people.
So like if we wanted to do something, we had to like
go out
to like go sit and work.
Yeah.
So
which I guess is fun because you got to like explore the city.
Yeah, it was fun to experience it. But I was like,
but then going home,
my gosh, like I just would love like a night by myself.
Yeah.
Like somewhere to sit.
I think that's like, I don't know. It's obviously super unhealthy, but in like the same way, I feel like it's like good because like, how old were you when you were living in this?
I was
recent.
23, yeah.
So okay. Yeah, it's recent. So like, it gives you perspective. Sure. Like it definitely gives you perspective, and like now you can like talk on that, and now you've like proved to yourself that like you've been through something like that. It also is a little insane that like some brands and like they'll just like put people in houses like that.
Yeah,
it sounds crazy. But also it could be good in terms of like building community. Like, if you don't know any models, you're absolutely in a house with 14.
I was super like grateful for the experience and like really glad I did it. But I think if I was there by myself, I probably would have stayed there the whole time. But since I had a friend I was traveling with, we were like, okay, we can find a place together. But like all the girls I lived with were so nice too, which was something I was worried about.
That's crazy. Yeah. That's like, really insane.
Everybody was super kind to each other, super nice.
It's just the environment is tricky.
It's just like I'm an introverted person, so like I need my space alone. And they're like when I was showering was like the only time I was alone.
It's funny because I've heard like with the same friend that did like the stepping on the cake thing from earlier. Yeah. He was dating a girl and he was explaining how like insanely toxic the house that she stays in.
I've heard of that.
I mean, she's like a LA model, and I think there's probably a lot more brands out there, or a lot more like, I don't know, maybe you just get looped in with a lot more like crazier situations and stuff.
Yeah, I feel like LA is like
it's just so competitive.
Yeah, I feel like LA and New York, I feel like are really competitive places.
But it's like so competitive intense. That like you get a job, you get like an offer to like do this like crazy shoot or something. You're like, I'm obviously gonna take it, and then like you end up, I don't know. He was just explaining to me how insane it was, and then he was like dating this girl, and then she came back from the house, and he said like she was like completely, I don't know. I don't want to like go. He's also kind of exaggerates a little bit sometimes. This person.
No, but I definitely think there are like houses where like ours was like maybe a bit more intense just because of like the living situation, but like we got lucky and had a really good group of people living there. But I had heard about some of the other apartments like had like really toxic living situations, and like I feel like that is just way harder to deal with than like the actual physical.
Yours was basically the only issue you really seemed to have was like the sheer amount of people that were in the space.
In the small amount of space.
But we got lucky and had like no issues with that.
And it's cool that you have flexibility. Like, oh, you want to leave? Go ahead. This is just what we provide, and you can take it or you can leave it.
So that was super nice.
And I bet everyone else was like, thank you guys for leaving.
I know. Now we have a little
thank you.
Now
we have a little. But like I knew girls who lived there for like probably like 4 or 5 months. Wow. Which is crazy to me. Like, that's crazy.
That is wild. I can't imagine.
I don't think I could do it.
So like, when you're going back to Mexico, you're not going back to
No, I think I'm going to find my own place. Yeah. Just because I need my own space.
Yes.
That's the kind of person I am. Yeah.
Nice.
I also get really self-conscious about cooking. I'm not good at cooking. So like trying to cook in a kitchen where there's like 10 people, I'm like, I can't do this. I get too nervous.
That's awesome. Well, that's anything else like on the model housing?
I don't know. So. It's
we kind of covered it. I mean, that's a good brief. Anything else for like someone who's looking to start, like a just general advice you'd have to someone that's looking to start in modeling?
Yeah, I mean, just like building your confidence is great, and like don't take anything personally as much as you can. Like it's hard not to, but like just know that what people saying about you like isn't personal. It doesn't reflect who you are. And just like have fun with it. Like it's the more you treat it as like an art, the more fun it is.
I like that. Yeah.
I like that outlook. I also think like this is just from like my mindset of doing it. Like I think people maybe look at modeling and they're like, wow, like do I want my career to be modeling? Like if you think you could be a model, try modeling for 2 years, and see if you like it. A lot of people that we bring on, they run a little company or they do this and this and this. Like the guy we had on with Hammermaid, like he has like a little company that he runs and then he does modeling on the side. And like he has this flexibility and
exactly. I do
it
like on the side sometimes or sometimes it's my main job, but like you really can
be flexible
with it.
It can be a part of your career, not just like your whole career. You don't have to like jump in with both feet. Like
and
feel
it very
free.
much like changes too. Like it's not a consistent job at all. I've found so far. Like some people work consistently, but like like some years you get more, some years you don't, and it's just it's fun to start off. I would definitely start off like part-time with it until you kind of decide like, oh, is this the life I really want to go for?
That's great.
Cool.
I guess the last thing is, where can people follow you? Where can people learn about you? Like if anyone has any more questions that we didn't ask here, like could they DM you? Like
for sure. I would say probably the best Instagram to contact me is Piper Brandt Portfolio, which is where I put all my modeling work. But it's probably the best way, or just Piper Brandt on Instagram.
Personal Insta.
My personal Insta.
Cool.
Sweet.
Well, that's basically a wrap. And thank you for coming on. This is honestly an amazing episode.
This was such a good episode.
I thought it was such a good episode. Like one of
I was so nervous.
We're trying and like for the listener, like we're trying some new formulas. We're like 10, 15 episodes in now, and I feel like we're learning a lot. So let us know if you thought it was good, and don't forget to like and subscribe and follow Piper. So see you guys next time. Peace.
Yeah.